Hello, everyone. I would like to welcome you to our webinar. My name is Jill Obermeyer, and I am the marketing manager with CasinoAffiliatePrograms.com. And we're pretty excited for our live webinar program today. And it looks like we're starting to fill up here with a full house of attendees, which is excellent. So today we'll be focusing on the ever-growing and evolving channel of social media and really honing in on the best ways affiliate marketers can leverage their social media channels to grow site traffic. So if you have any questions about any of the content presented today, as always, we will be providing an extended Q&A session for the last portion of the webinar. So you're welcome to submit your questions throughout the presentation. Just go to, probably it's on the right-hand side of your screen, to the question panel, and just submit your questions there, and we'll be taking them throughout and hopefully getting to all of them today. So before we get started, I would like to thank today's webinar sponsor, Fortune Affiliates. Fortune Affiliates has been operating in the space for the last 8 years, and they've really generated the reputation of one of the most trustworthy and profitable programs to affiliates. What makes Fortune Affiliates a premium program is they really do go above and beyond to make sure their affiliate partners are paid on time, every time. And they provide world-class media management and reporting tools, which it really makes them a leader in the industry trends. They also provide 8 exclusive casino brands, and a really huge value factor is their support team. Fortune Affiliates consists of knowledgeable relationship managers to assist their partners in every way possible. So just to share, CAP actually has a great exclusive offer with Fortune Affiliates. So for all new affiliates that sign up through CAP, you can earn a 50% rev share for your first 3 months, that's pretty great. So just visit the link on your screen here and sign up to Fortune Affiliates today. So let's get into it. Today for our webinar, we are pleased to be joining forces with 2 leading digital marketing all-stars. Both are prominent internet marketing experts, as well as co-founders of the very successful online agency, Blue Glass Interactive. Our first guest speaker is Dave Snyder, and he is CEO of Steelcast. Dave is a world-renowned internet marketing consultant and is a foremost authority on link marketing. He has spoken around the world on topics about search marketing and social media, and he's actually consulted for some of the world's largest companies for their search and social media needs. Dave is also a publisher for the Search Engine Journal and Daily SEO Tip. And Dave's strengths lie in organic and paid search marketing. Also, he is very much an expert in social media for brand building and online reputation management. So Dave, welcome to the webinar and thank you for joining us today. Okay, and for our second guest speaker, we will have Brent Saturis, and he is VP of Social Seeding with Hua Marketing. Brent is a seasoned internet marketing consultant, and he primarily specializes in social media, viral link bait, and social seeding. He also speaks regularly at some of the largest and most well-known conferences, and I'm sure several of you out there have seen him at the Blue Glass conferences, SMX, PubCon, SES, and InfoPress. Brent has also been mentioned in Forbes.com. He's been interviewed by Entrepreneur.com and was recognized as one of the top 25 most influential online marketers of 2008 and 2009. Brent was also awarded a Semi for his article on how to create compelling social media profiles. So Brent, also welcome to the webinar and thank you for joining us today.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Of course. Well, I guess let's get into it. And Dave, I'll just pass everything off to you to get started with the presentation.
So, as Jill said, my name is David Snyder. I'm the CEO of Steelcast, which is actually an incubator and co-founder of Blue Glass Interactive. So what we're going to talk about today is we're kind of going to work backwards. I'm going to share with you some concepts on how to actually convert social media traffic. and Brent will talk about how to gain social media traffic. I've talked at quite a few CAP events and casino events about social media, and the unique issue in terms of casino affiliates and gambling affiliates and social media really comes down to, where do you get actual conversion-based value from social media? Everybody from the large operators to the affiliates has an issue there. They know there's lots of traffic to be had, but really, where does the value from social traffic come, and how do you obtain it? So that's what I'm going to talk about mostly, and I'm going to keep it not brief, go into a couple of specifics, and then hopefully you have questions at the end. So this is actually a concept, emotion regulation that I've talked about before with link building. We're going to put it into place for social media as well. The concept that I've built a lot of my link building practices around and social media is this concept that everybody has a certain range of emotions, and if you can interact with the person's emotions and you know how to trigger those emotions, you can trigger certain actions and events. So this concept here is Plutchuk's wheel of emotions. Basically works its way from the outside to the inside. That the more concentrated you get in terms of emotion, so that the central being rage, ecstasy, that you can entice more direct actions. And so essentially what we're going to see as I work through this is, if you can create content for your site that elicits emotions, you can elicit a response from somebody. The way that I basically came about this concept was based on emotion self-regulation. Essentially, it comes away where I learned this tactic working my way through business that as a kind of negotiation tactic, that there are certain things that you can push people to do by pushing certain buttons, right? And the same thing happens back and forth. So anybody who's married knows this. Like, your wife knows exactly what to say to you to make you have a reaction. And anybody who has kids knows the same thing, right? People know how to tap your emotional field in order to get you to do something. The same concept can be utilized from a marketing standpoint. So the concept really breaks down into four basic states. First, the internal feeling. So the subject experiences emotion. The person that we want to have an action experiences an emotion based on that wheel that I showed. The next thing is what's called emotion-related cognitions. So based on that emotion, they start to have a thought reaction to the situation, right? So basically, the emotion paints the situation in a certain color. Based on the emotion-related psychological processes, so their heart starts to beat faster. They start to have a physiological reaction to it, and then based on that, they have an emotional-related behavior, right? So this is a case where if you said something derogatory to your wife, she would start to paint the current picture a certain way. She would start to get upset, and based on that, act out of the way, right? So it all breaks down into concept that starts with emotion and it plays out into actual action. This is the basic way it works. Initiation point, thoughts, feelings, actions, and then results. And I'll work you through some basic case studies on how this can work in terms of first link building from social media, and then we'll talk about how to go beyond link building and actually elicit reaction from people that are social users. All right, so this is one of my favorite link baits I've ever seen, mostly because one of our partners is a vegan, and it's a ridiculous lifestyle choice. So unless there's anybody who's vegan. So essentially somebody really did put up on a college board a sign that said vegan, and it goes through like a community help group. And somebody else came along who was a smart ass and put up a sign that said carnivore. Chances are you don't need some webby support group. Keep being awesome. Right. And this was top on Reddit and a top on Big. And essentially what happened, I mean, it received a ton of attention and a ton of links. So a lot of sharing happened as well. Sorry, there's a little bit of a lag on that. So in the emotional regulation path, essentially the initiation point was the point where, this content creator put this up and then took the picture. From that point, the basic thought process that a viewer of the content has is, all right, carnivore placed against vegan. Somebody took the time to do this. Somebody actually took the time to print this up, make it perfect, put it up next to this. That whole scenario creates feelings of joy and humor, right? Which then create, the desire to share that content and share the humorous concept with other people, which then leads to the action of actual sharing and linking or whatever. So you can see like almost every linking scenario goes through this kind of concept where there's initiation where you can initiate a certain feeling that initiates action based on the content. And that's why, the default position a lot of times with creating link bait is humor. That's the easiest kind of emotion to really understand. But you can do the same thing with informational content, where you create informational content that gets people thinking, creates a feeling based on an opinion from that thought process, creates a desire to share that content and the result of the share. But in the new world, link bait really doesn't work the same way. And so Facebook and Twitter have really changed the link graph. And now things are being shared more, which is great from a traffic generation standpoint, but from a conversion standpoint, especially for somebody in the affiliate space, it can be a little bit less conversion driven, right? So like, what value does social traffic have? And so I'm going to talk a little bit about how to utilize this concept of emotional regulation to actually get people to convert that are coming to your site from social traffic. Essentially, while link bait still has value, we need to figure out other ways to convert social traffic. So really the problem is people don't link like they used to. How do you convert the social traffic beyond that? And we've hit upon a concept that we think is pretty strong and has a very good ROI. So the case study I'll run through on how to make social valuable. We put together an article on one of our software sites about the controversial history of XVID. Basically went through how XVID was created from the DivX codec and all the different concepts there. We pushed that out via social media. We also bought social ads to the page. When the user would actually go to the page, they would also have a retargeting pixel dropped on their site, which then allowed us to retarget them on remnant inventory across other sites. Essentially, we retargeted the pixel on the XVID content I showed you to hit people up again after they viewed the content with, you've heard the history of XVID, now try the actual download. And it worked very well. So the concept here is that you're able to actually elicit an emotion, which then later on can elicit a response, because the issue from social traffic that's shared when they hit your site, they just want to hit your content really quickly and leave. That's not going to translate to many conversions, but what it will do is it will drop a seed of sentiment in their mind that you can then elicit an actual response and an action from later. So some basic concepts we've come up with, for example, an infographic of the most common ways to die. You add the infographic to a social ready site, retarget it, and then, do some ads on how common will your death be, get life insurance today. And so the banner actually matches the look and feel of the infographic. That concept, would elicit some kind of fear in somebody's mind and then elicit a reaction to them to actually click and go to the life insurance site. This essentially gives us a funnel as well, because the ad clicks, let's say we put ads on that page for life insurance, aren't going to be as conversion driven as a secondary conversion that we retargeted. Another idea we had for weight loss was infographic for 50 celebrities who let themselves go fat. You add, again, the pixel for retargeting and then the banners across the network. Don't let yourself go get fat burner today, eliciting kind of a fear response. Again, hey, this happens to people that are famous who have time to work out all the time. Don't let it happen to you. So that the concept, again, is create content that creates a thought-provoking concept that elicits a feeling that, again, has some kind of an emotional response to it that incites action and gets results. There are lots of ways to utilize this, even if you're doing stuff like white papers. But again, so let's say you have sports content and you're doing mostly sports books, then you're able to create infographics around sports and then retarget those users on, international banner advertising and actually have a connection with a user that other banner advertisers don't have. So you see a higher return on your ad spend. Also, your ad spend will be lower because you're buying remnant traffic through retargeting. So essentially, it's an integrated marketing approach to increase the value of your media spend elsewhere and also get the most out of your social traffic and increase it. One tip I'll put on the social increase of traffic that you might want to look at is replacing your comments with Facebook comments right now. We're using it on Steelcast. We're seeing a really good uptake. Also, just from a branding perspective, if you were an operator, one concept to do as well, because the operators spend lots of money, right, on offline advertising, is simply to build up your hub site and utilize retargeting and content just to get your brand out there to elicit secondary searches for your name, as well as conversions. Again, the strategy, we've tested it and we're continuing to test it and refine it, but we've seen some really good CTR on the banner advertising and conversions come through. It's a great way to filter social traffic and to elicit a reaction from a traffic base that historically hasn't been action driven.
All right. So, I really appreciate Dave going through that. I think that if you've been following social media for the last, 5 years or so, you'll find that one of the biggest holes was really what to do with the people after they left, because of the high bounce rate and because of the quick exit that people will typically have when they're looking at social content. This was typically because the early social sites were more aggregate sites, right? People weren't really hanging out. They were just floating through looking at content. One of the big holes was, what do you do with that after they leave? And I think retargeting really fills that void. And I first saw it with LifeLock, which is the protect your identity and stuff. I had gone and looked at the site, and I had actually written a note down on my to-do list for getting LifeLock or whatever that actual brand is. But as I was surfing through the web the rest of the day, I kept seeing these LifeLock brand ads everywhere, and it kept reminding me, damn it, just buy this thing. And I actually ended up breaking down and clicking it and buying it through that. So even somebody who's pretty, aware to the methods out there of getting people to buy something, and I typically never buy anything in that path, the retargeting actually worked in allowing me to convert. I would have converted probably down the road anyway, but you never know, right? So I think that that's a huge thing. And when Dave first, kind of brought that to my attention and started talking to me about it, I was so impressed by it. So I just wanted to mention kind of how powerful that really is and how effective it really is. So jumping in on my own side, my name's Prince Torres. As mentioned, I've been doing this a little while, and I've been able to do some pretty cool things in social media, social seeding, viral marketing, whatever you want to call it. One of the things, though, that I've noticed over the last 5 years is that the same question or the same impression on the value of social seeding seems to come up. Like, why do I want to do this? Why is it valuable to me? And what do I really get from it? And so I want to touch really heavily on the value of social seeding so that you understand why it is that you need to do it. And I'm going to touch a little on what's working and some of the sites. And I'm probably going to breeze through some of the sites information because that's not really the focus of what I'm talking about. And that'll allow me to speed up a little bit so we can have some time for Q&A and so forth. So jumping right in, what is social seeding? There's a lot of definitions out there, a lot of variations. They're normally pretty long and pretty intense, but all pretty accurate. The quick and dirty version of what is, social seeding is essentially this. You take high quality content from your site, which, as Dave was mentioning, can be targeted towards that specific thing that you want to get people to do. You take that content, that quality content, and I say quality for a reason, and I'll say it 100 times for this whole presentation, and you submit it, share it, push it out through the top social communities, top social networks in an effort to get a large amount of visibility around that content. And you're looking to get a visibility in an audience that is influencers. These are media, journalists, they're leaders in their space. They're people with 1 million plus Facebook, fans on their fan page or on their Twitter page. These are people that are social savvy, people that will share it, will get it out there for you. These are the people that are essentially going to pick up your campaign and run it for you. And there's a lot of value that comes from that. And there's a lot of reasons why you need to participate in that. And just to touch on a couple of them right now, but I'll get into each one of these kind of more after this, is that you're going to get traffic, obviously. You can get a little bit of traffic or you can get a lot. I mean, we've had campaigns that literally have gotten almost 1 million visits within about, a week or two. We've seen campaigns that have had 500,000 overnight in one day. We've seen servers crushed, and we've seen campaigns that have 1,000 visits and hardly get visibility at all. So the range is extremely large, but traffic is one of the core things that you can get out of this. Branding. Branding is huge, and people really don't give it a lot of credit, but there's a lot of branding aspect that social can provide you. Natural links, social signals, which are more important today than ever before. Conversions, all of these things equate to, in the end, conversion of some shape or form, depending on what your conversion metric is. And education, you'd be amazed at how much you can actually learn just participating in this process about your product, what keywords are really important, what things convert, and where you're off track with what your audience really is looking for. So jumping into all that, the first thing I'm going to talk about is traffic. And this is one of those things that has really been debated. I think it's a different debate now. I think that in the last year, we've seen the web transform from a place where people go to find something to a place that people hang out. And in that transformation is the change in the way people link, in the way that they discuss content, the way they participate in the web. And I think that the traffic today and the systems that are being used today are very targeted. I think that it's, typically when somebody's looking at your content in these social sites, they're reading a title, they've got a description, they know what your site's about, they're interested in it, they're coming through. Now, they might not necessarily be the same as your pay-per-click traffic, which is, 100% buy mode. They might not be in buy mode, but it brings in people who are targeted or know people who are going to be in buy mode and could potentially be in buy mode later. So I think the traffic today is very valuable, in my opinion, and we see the traffic from Facebook and some of these other social sites actually rivaling the number of page views, time on site, bounce rate that Google has had for a long time. And some people are saying it's actually better than Google traffic. So I definitely think traffic is valuable, and you can get a lot of it. The second thing to talk about is branding. I mean, we've seen a lot of big companies like, Ron Paul basically established his entire campaign and following based on a huge social media and marketing campaign that has been viral for years now for him. Shit My Dad Says, that essentially was a Twitter account that got promoted on Dig and Reddit and became really popular. And then, a TV station ended up seeing it, contacting them, signing a deal, and starting a show off of it. We've seen the Old Spice campaign where they were doing videos targeted at influencers like Ashton Kutcher and Kevin Rose and people like that in order to elicit that kind of personal response and that kind of feeling. And we saw, a lot of people give a lot of criticism to the Old Spice, saying, "Oh yeah, but it would change sales." And a month later, they had massive sales increases, and so it really does have an effect in the overall process. But not only that, not only these large brands, but you as a smaller publisher or as a smaller site can also build your brand just by being present. Social articles that are seeded tend to rank within the first week for a couple days really quickly. You tend to be seen a lot more. You tend to show up more in the aggregates sections of the search results, and you end up being branded as being authoritative because of that. So there's a great branding aspect that you get from it. Another aspect is natural links, social signals, and we talked about these two a little bit. Dave mentioned that, because of the change in the scope of the way people are recommending content, right? A link essentially online is a real world recommendation. I recommend this place for this anchor text, right? This is what I think they're good for. But because people aren't blogging as much, because they're going to Twitter, Facebook, and they're using those areas to really push that out, and myself included. I used to blog, a couple times a week, and now I blog like once a month. Because it's easier for me to go to Google Plus and just share my thought really quickly and get the same kind of traction, the same kind of response that I would get from a blog post. So you're seeing that change and that decrease in link volumes. But we've done campaigns even a couple within the last month or so where we saw hundreds of really good links and maybe a handful of 10 to 20 really solid links. And we know from the past couple of years that it's not about the quantity of links, it's about the quality. And these are natural quality links. You can find numerous videos of Matt Cutts, if you don't know, is the head of web spam at Google, one of the lead authorities on search marketing within Google. He's one that has come out over the last couple of years saying, social media and marketing, social seeding is a good way to build natural links, because all you're doing is presenting people with quality content. They make their own conscious decision to link to it. So even though the volumes are down, this is still a great way to get natural links. The links are going to be valuable to your overall initiatives in all regards. And additionally, you're going to get a lot of social signals, which I think are personally a little bit more important than anything right now. We've seen the Bing and Facebook deal. We've seen, Google buying Twitter's API so they can get all of that data. We've seen the integration of search and social for a long time now, and it's only increasing on a regular basis. So I also, in recent conversations, just, heard rumor that Google News is actually going to move underneath Google's social team in the near future. And so we're seeing a lot more properties at Google being controlled by the social team. We're seeing a lot more of an interest in all of these social signals with the Plus One and Google Plus launching. There is a massive shift going on right now, and for the time being, it's a combination of both of these. But I think they're super essential, and you're not going to get the social signals without seeding your content. I mean, it's the best way, and it's the only way to really get the mixture of all of these signals that you need. And the quality of your content is what's going to make those signals have value in the end. When they tell these search engines, hey, this is actual valuable content and a lot of people like it and it's got links, that's going to be your value point. So this helps a lot in that. Another aspect, conversions. We talked about this through and through. Conversions are there. Your conversion can be a lot of different things. Depending on how specified your conversions are, you can, determine whether or not you're getting what you need from your efforts. But conversions are there, whether it's to the first string of traffic, the second string through links, or the third string through search down the road when you improve your rankings. There's conversions to be had, and you just need to focus all your efforts around how to make those occur once you get that traffic. You can convert social traffic. You can convert this audience if you know how to do it and you test and you try. Last thing is education. You'd be amazed at how many people go out there with a campaign that internally they are going to kill it. This is the best thing they've ever done, and everyone hates it. I mean, I've done some campaigns for some really huge musicians that they felt like they were going to kill it with their video, and everybody hated it. I've done some stuff with movies where the same thing, where people thought that it was going to be really awesome and it was horrible. And it took that response that they got from social to really understand that people don't look at them this way. They don't associate with them in that way, and they don't find what they're doing to be interesting. And they can't typically take that unless they get it from the audience. Internally, it's hard to convert people's minds that it's not great. So you will learn a ton from your campaigns about your product, your site, what you're doing. So jumping into what actually works, like what is it that you can do? Like what content is actually succeeding right now? Obviously, there's this content's not new. It's not something that's, very different from what succeeds in general across the board in conversations in bars, what you tell your friends, what you email somebody, all of these things. It's an interest factor. What is interesting beyond your own personal interest in it, right? So jumping through a couple of the things, infographics are really huge right now. And there's no surprise there. You've got something that's visual, clean, easy to digest, interesting information with a theme that you can follow about something that you're interested in. It's successful not because it's a gimmick. It's successful because it has every factor of what you need to succeed with content. And the quality metric is where you succeed or fail more. And being able to really embrace what the concept around an infographic is important, but I think that those are extremely valuable right now. News and current events is always good. If you can tie an existing metric, system that you have for succeeding with content, and you can tie it around current events, you can repurpose that concept over and over and over again and have a lot of success throughout time by just tracking what's going on in current events. How-tos, instructionals are extremely successful. One tip I would really give you is don't be boring with it. People always try to pick stuff based on keywords they get in a couple minutes, and that's stuff that's already been done or people already know. I suggest that everybody goes out and finds the support networks, the support forums for your competitors in your space, and I would track what people are asking, what people are confused about, what they're not understanding, and then solve those current problems with how-to guides and instructional guides, and be extremely helpful. Don't give gee whiz stupid stuff like, how do you save on your taxes? File on time. No shit. I mean, it's like basic stuff that annoys people when they see stuff like that. If you have to have something that's worthy of sharing. But if you do that, then you can have a lot of success. Lists are great. Top 10 this, top 10 that. One thing I would avoid is don't do top 10, because top 10 is kind of cliche. So, I always tell people number based on the quality items you have. If you have 12, it's 12. If you have 7, it's 7. You don't base it on a number you're trying to reach. You base it on a number of quality items that you have. Historical science, statistical always does well. Very easy to work with. And the last one's extreme and cute. Anything biggest, longest, strangest, weirdest, hairiest, whatever, it's all going to work. And cute is not necessarily what you think's, oh, that's kind of cute. It's like really cute. Like it has to be really good, but anything really cute does well online. And again, quality. Any of this stuff that's just tossed together without a quality metric is going to fail. I mean, you have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these articles per day, and only a couple are going to be successful. You have to be the one that's better than everyone else. Otherwise, it just kind of doesn't work. So the top social communities, again, for the sake of getting into Q&A, I'm just going to run through these. StumbleUpon is my favorite site right now. I think it's been my favorite for many years. It's consistently growing. They've changed in the right ways. If you're not on StumbleUpon today, you should be. And you should just focus on using all of these systems like they're supposed to be used. Don't go in and try to promote something in a different category just because it has a higher volume. Focus on actually getting in there and building your community around what people really need. Facebook, I think everybody knows what Facebook is. I think everybody knows that it's valuable. The thing here is that people are not in a buy mode. They're not in a research mode. People in Facebook are on a hangout mode. You need to take your message to them in a way that is a hangout mode. Okay. Don't go there thinking I'm just going to put my product up there and people are going to love it. You need to have an angle that targets somebody when they're not in a buy mode. So typically in Facebook and Twitter, I tell people build your community, right? Focus on building your community when you're doing that work, and then let your inadvertent posts of products naturally sell themselves to a community that already likes you. Don't focus on, building your product. Twitter's value is really skewy, and I don't want to, people love Twitter, great. If you don't, whatever. People who know and people who have tested know what I'm talking about. Twitter is an interesting place. It's something that I think has turned much more into a status symbol than anything. And I think that it's very important to have that status symbol. So you'll notice a lot of celebrities out there. They're making extremely hard pushes to go out and get big pages. Everybody in their company wants a big page. It's a status symbol that says you're on the same level as these other companies. So I think it's important for that. And I think that you should use it for that. And I do think that it has other values, but that's the core selling point of why I put that in this list. Reddit, I gave them a hell of a hard time. I used to be really good. I wouldn't say really good friends, but I used to be pretty decent friends with Alexis, and we used to have a lot of conversations. And one of the things Reddit did is they broke their community that was one community into a bunch of sub-communities. And they used the front page of Reddit as an aggregate of all of the sub-communities that you're subscribed to. I thought it was a really bad move. It turned out to be a massively successful move. I was completely wrong. They were right, and it kills it. They have more traffic from a subreddit that's not even in the top 50 to your content than you'll get from the front page of Dig. It's extremely viable and valuable right now. It's also impossible to game. Don't waste your time going in here thinking I'm just going to game this. I'm just going to work my way through it to get what I want. You have to really just want to participate in this site and really do it right. Otherwise, you're just wasting your time. Don't do it unless you can really commit to it and it's something that you're going to be a real user in. Don't have 5 of your employees doing it. Seriously, I mean, if you can't do this one site as a real user, don't waste your time. Focus it on StumbleUpon and other places. Delicious. Watch Delicious. Delicious has always been great for resource, right? People go to Delicious and they search for things and they find stuff. So Delicious is like your social search engine in a way. It's definitely a place that you want to have your content in, but it's not really news content, or it's lists, it's how-tos, it's guides. This is the place that people are going to go to, and they're going to search for those type of things. And this is what's really valuable about Delicious, right? It's a bookmark saving spot. So you want things that are a little more evergreen when you're putting in here. Also, Delicious was recently picked up from Yahoo because Yahoo's dumping all their social platforms. Well, they're dumping about everything at this point, but That's beside the point. So Delicious is one of the things that they dumped, and the founders who have picked it up have experience. Not the founders, but the people who have picked it up have experience. They're going to be playing with this. They're going to be adding new features. They're going to be hyping it. This is a site that has a historic value and is now going to be hyped, and it's going to be changed and it's going to be influenced. So I think it's a good time now, if you haven't got in here, to get in here and play with it and participate. Right now, the changes are not going over well with the users, so we'll see how long those stay. Dig is, oh wow. Dig I've been talking about forever. I've been a fan, I've hated him, I've been a fan, I've hated them, and now I'm kind of somewhere in the middle. I want them to succeed because, damn it, I've been through a lot with them, but it just seems like I don't know. Dig is an aggregate site, a great site, but the Dig today is nothing like the original Dig. I wouldn't even call it the same site. It's a whole new social site with the same name. They've basically gone out and taken the best parts of Reddit, the best parts of Mix, the best parts of Twitter and Facebook, and they've made a real-time aggregate of all of those signals and then added your votes on top of it, and that's it. So it's still valuable. It's still something you should watch, but the jury's out on whether this is their last chance, really, to kind of bring life back into it. The founders walked away. Pretty much everybody on the original team has walked away. We'll see. I really hope they do well. I personally think they're making some big mistakes, but I can't get into all of that. The only thing I'll say is that I think that you should spend energy on it, but I wouldn't put all your eggs in this basket. I would just put some of your extra time here for now and watch to see how the site goes and how this new newsrooms goes. If it blows up, then I would definitely get back in on Dig. If it doesn't, then pick and choose your battles. I wouldn't put it at the top of my list. Last thing I'm going to run over real quick is some tips. The biggest tip these are the biggest tips I can tell you. Involve your staff. I don't know how many times I can tell people this, but pull your janitor in, go out and club somebody on the street and bring them in and have them wake up in your conference room. But get anybody in your area, get anybody you can and put them in a room and start going through what can we do, what's social, because you would be amazed at the bouncing of ideas. One person comes up with an idea, somebody comes up with a twist of that. Another person adds an element. Next thing you know, you have a full one. Somebody who's got some background in a different direction says, well, hey, we can do something real world as well because I know this connection over here and we can get some publicity on it. Oh, we should totally connect it to this current event that happened last week. The string of ideas that will come out of there will give you ideas forever to work with. So I really think you should grab everybody you can, even if they're not related to the department. Pull them all in, get a whiteboard, start writing down ideas, start coming up with concepts, and get hundreds, and then prioritize based on what you can do to succeed with it. Current events. Everything you do can be reused with every single current event. It's amazing, like refresh. It's like, oh, wait, Charlie Sheen's going crazy. We can walk about the 7 ways that you can, 7 things that would happen if you took Charlie Sheen to a conference, to a casino or something, right? You start getting into fun content that you can tie around current events. You start getting into any of your content that you can make it fit. You should, because current events is huge. It's searched on heavily. It's got trends that allow you to get searched on. It allows you to succeed all around. Plan for success. Retargeting is a great concept. You are going to spend a lot of time and a lot of energy on this concept. You need to make sure that everybody's involved. Your campaigns, your organic search, your social campaigns, your PR department. You should be reaching out to blogs to get other people to talk about the content you just submitted, doing retargeting. You need to plan for success. Social seeding is just going to get you the visibility. That visibility is going to come in. Now, you need to know what to do with that. What are you doing with the links that are coming into that page? What are you doing with the traffic? What are you doing with everything? Last thing is, do not accept crap. Everything you do, I don't care what it is, when you see it, you could probably make it better. Do that. Make it better, because you're going to spend a week building out a campaign where if you would have spent 8 days, it would have killed it. But the 7th day, when you pushed it out just before it was really ready, you just wasted a week, right? You can't afford to waste all the energy and the time and the brain power and the concepts on something to stop short of greatness. Take it to the next level. Don't accept crap. If it's not good enough, send it back and do it again, because you don't have an endless amount of promotions. There's only so many times that you can get this out there effectively in a certain time period, right? You can't do 10 a day. You can't do 20 a day. You need to space them out. So you need to pick and choose, and you need to deliver, and you need to make sure everything you do is quality. So don't accept crap. Plan for success. Focus on current events and news to help influence you and involve your entire staff. with all of this stuff. So I know I went long. I really apologize. I'm always open. You can email me. You can contact me. I always answer questions. I never have a hard time doing that. So we'll do what we can with the Q&A. And after that, you're welcome to reach out to me if you have additional questions. Thank you.
Excellent. This was really great information, and so far we are getting a plethora of questions in. So let's definitely start up with the Q&A session, and I'll just throw this out, Dave and Brent, to both of you guys, and whoever wants to answer is fine. The first question that I've gotten a few in on are, what in your guys' opinion are the most affiliate friendly social networks that affiliate marketers should really be honing in on?
I think that I can answer some of that from a negative point of view, not necessarily from a positive point of view. I'll tell you that there's certain sites like Reddit and Dig that are very community-focused aggregate sites who do not want anything affiliate-related. Now, it's not as bad as it used to be, because it used to be very, very trafficked, and people used to really focus on looking for that. They're not anymore. There's too many companies in the game. So you can still slip by, but you have to package it very carefully. I would say StumbleUpon is pretty lenient on affiliate. I would say Facebook and Twitter as well is pretty lenient on affiliate. I would say it's the aggregate sites that were formed when it was really more a passionate group of techies like Dig, Reddit, Delicious. Those communities are the ones that are much harder on those type of links or so forth.
Excellent. Okay. Any input on your side, Dave? Okay. Goodness. Go ahead.
Was there feedback?
There was just a delay, I think, but we can hear you.
Okay. So I think the big issue is, try out ad sources that you can actually pay for, right? So like Twitter is releasing their public ad program soon. I mean, they have the ad program now, but a self-serve model soon. Facebook ads. I mean, obviously with gambling specifically, you can't do some of these, but we already know that, right? But what you can do is create portals where you can drive traffic to concepts that are more, for example, sportsbook related. So you can have an actual sports site that you drive traffic from. And so I think that's really where you need to go. You need to, your casino portal that's 5 pages deep is not going to be the place that you want to try to get social traffic from. You need to have something that's actually going to get social users and get spread. So kind of taking that concept of having a secondary hub where you can drive the content and then try to get the traffic from there to your main hub via retargeting. It's probably a good choice.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
Excellent. Okay. Well, let's see here. The next question, actually, a few people have been chiming in about StumbleUpon. If you guys could kind of gloss over StumbleUpon as a social media channel, and specifically, I don't know if you have any information as far as StumbleUpon users, if they're really focused in a specific geographic area. Some people are asking, is this something that's a little bit more, popular in the U.S. compared to other places? I'm not sure if you could kind of breeze through that a bit more.
Sure, I can jump in that a little bit. I can't touch on like the popularity across globally, right? I mean, essentially, U.S. is the leader in social sites, and so essentially, you're getting if there's no other site like StumbleUpon, and so if people are using it, they're probably using it internationally. I have definitely seen an international user base on that. So I would say that you're not going to get I don't have specific numbers, but I would definitely say it's global. It is the biggest. It's being reported by Mashable and quite a few other sites as being the largest referrer of traffic. Like I said, we've seen stuff get up to the 1 million, mark. I've seen stuff really get higher in there for traffic sent from StumbleUpon. What you're not going to get regional stuff with StumbleUpon. The way they're based is the real quick and dirty is you sign up and you say, these are the categories that I'm specifically interested in. And when you stumble content, it's going to show you content from those categories, and it's only going to show you each piece of content one time ever. And those votes of what people vote on when they see that content, whether they vote up or down or in the comment, will determine the popularity and the likelihood that that's going to be shown higher to everybody that's subscribed to that group. So it's really going to be group based. And I think that they do have a lot of gambling content in there that does really well. We've done some work. In fact, we had one that was extremely successful. This was a couple years back, about 2 years ago, where it got something like 8,000 links and ranked really, really well. And it was all in sports betting, and it was extremely successful, and it was stumble upon only. So I think that it is a very good place for this niche.
Excellent. Yeah, it's definitely been a great resource for a major traffic driver. Let's see. Another question here is a lot of social media users do not have the propensity to spend money, and they're simply just passing time. So what else can I do besides targeting a specific higher income demographic to find customers on social media who will buy my products?
So
Dave, I'm just
where to find specific demographics.
Yeah, I think it's just exactly the best way to find a higher income demographic, so customers would be more inclined to purchase a product.
Yeah, so some of the best places to actually get specific and demographically focused are some of the oldest places, and that would be forums, right? Find forums that are related to your topic, become an actual user of that forum and give good information, and create relationships that can lead into a conversion. That's probably the best way to get hyper focused. Facebook is going that route too, because you can essentially join groups to become a real contributor within micro communities. Become a real person and somebody who's offering real content if you want to become super focused on your product base.
One other thing I'll add is that my partner Jordan would beat me over the head if I didn't mention UGCs, user-generated content sites like Yahoo Answers and some of those other type of sites. That's another area where people are specifically looking for solutions, and I think that you'll find that the demographic is going to be a lot nicer towards your expectation, of a conversion. I think that you definitely can find influential decision-making results out of sites like Yahoo Answers and other UGC sites, and there's quite a few out there.
Very good points. Okay. Let's see here. The next question is on retargeting, actually. So, however, I'm sorry, I misread this. So I'm concerned users will become annoyed when being shown the same campaign. What is your approach on capping the frequency of retargeting?
So you can actually create pixel-based. The only place where they'll get super annoyed is if they click on it, go through and don't convert, right? And you can actually create a do not show pixel, right, where you create like a negative list of users as well. So the first pixel that you drop allows for the retargeting. The next pixel that you drop takes them off the list. So that way, after they've already been offered the offer, they're not getting it again. Or if they purchase. So one, if they purchase, or one, if they've hit the screen and you want to go ahead and take them off after you've already shown them the opportunity and not try to, get them back again. So.
It's tracking is always huge. Okay. Our next question is, are there a lot of people who, or maybe not, who are afraid to use their links on social media platforms because they think that they'll just be frauded?
Are you saying like, are there companies that are afraid to put them on there? Because have we ever seen anybody who's had a situation where they put a link on there and they felt like they got a lot of fake conversions or something? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I think that's where it's coming from as far as the quality of the conversions that are coming through.
Yeah, I think it's really important to realize that, this is not a couple years ago social media. Everybody's on social now. Your mom, your cousins, everybody. I mean, old people, young people, rich people, poor people, celebrities, everyone. The traffic is not, you're not posting it on some random site that's just got bot traffic or really shady people. This isn't the MySpace days, right? This is the Facebook era where you're dealing with real people that can spend and that have a much higher level of reliability based on the fact that they're not anonymous. Like most of these people are coming through from places that are trackable. So I don't really see that issue. I've never heard of anybody having that issue, and I personally wouldn't worry about that issue.
Interesting. Yeah, I can definitely see, gosh, I can remember running traffic a few years ago, and that was a huge concern, but over the last couple, I would say most definitely within the last year, just the quality of traffic has definitely been very, very high quality. Another question here. If I am targeting different markets, let's say US or Canada or Latin America, would you recommend having different accounts, let's say on Facebook or other social media platforms, or would you suggest having all resources be going through the same account?
I think I'd love to go ahead, Dave. I'm going to let you comment, but then
can you repeat the question again?
With more clarification, if you can, because the thing is that a lot of these sites don't have demographic aspects to it. So, I mean, is it like you want to create pages in different languages? Like you want to do one in Spanish? Should you make another? I don't understand the application of that thought process.
You know what? Let me see here if this user can be a little bit more specific. As far as I think it's more or less on something along the lines because of different languages for each of these different countries. I mean, obviously the U.S. and Canada, except for the French speaking part, it wouldn't be too much. But just as if there's different campaigns that you're promoting in different languages, perhaps.
The question, Dave, was should they make multiple social accounts for different regions when looking to do promotions and build out accounts?
Yeah, it depends on a couple of things. One, resources, whether you can have a natural action, right? So this will happen in a lot of markets in Europe, where you might have a French, a German, and who knows, a Flemish, kind of user base, and now you need to kind of work with each of those user bases in their native language. Kind of interesting that's happening with Facebook is, for example, with my timeline, I have all kinds of languages that are filtering in. So whether you need to be super focused, I think depends really on your niche and also how much time and energy. So if you have somebody on your staff that speaks German and you have a super large German user base, then of course you should approach that way. But you shouldn't necessarily just filter it down just to see if it will work.
The other comment I'll add to that is just that a lot of the sites are really moving towards translation, and translation is getting really effective. Like Google's now doing that automatically when you show up on pages. A lot of the sites like Reddit, you just in your settings, you choose what language you're operating in, and it converts everything for that user. So there is a sense of that coming, but I don't know how far away that's going to be.
Excellent. Yes, that is something that is obviously happening much more. So I hope that for the couple users who asked about this helps. And looking at the time, so it looks like we're going to have to wrap this up. I know there's a lot more questions coming through, so we will definitely do our best to answer these once we wrap up here today. But I want to thank everyone in the audience to be here today and for asking such great questions. And a big thank you to Dave and to Brent for being our guest speakers. And you guys really did provide some excellent content. Everyone, thank you again for joining us today and have a great day.